My sister-in-law has been stealing my designer clothes for months, selling them online. When I confronted her at Thanksgiving, she laughed and said, "What are you gonna do, arrest me?" I handed her a police report. Already did. It started innocently enough. My husband Jake and I have been married for 6 years, and we've always had a comfortable relationship with his younger sister Sarah. She's 28, I'm 32, and she's been living with her boyfriend Marcus for about 2 years now. They've been struggling financially. He works as a bartender, and she's been bouncing between part-time retail jobs. I work as a marketing executive at a tech company, and I'll admit, I have expensive taste when it comes to clothes. It's one of my guilty pleasures: designer handbags, high-end shoes, the occasional splurge on a dress that costs more than my car payment. I keep everything meticulously organized in my walk-in closet, color-coded and arranged by season. Last summer, I started noticing small things going missing. At first, it was just a scarf here, a pair of earrings there. I thought maybe I'd misplaced them during one of my frequent business trips. I travel about twice a month for work, and packing and unpacking can be chaotic. By September, though, I couldn't ignore it anymore. My favorite Jimmy Choo pumps, the ones I'd waited 6 months to go on sale before buying, were gone. Then my Burberry trench coat disappeared. Then a Chanel handbag that had been a bonus gift from my CEO. The missing items were starting to add up, and they weren't cheap pieces. I mentioned it to Jake one evening while we were having dinner. "Honey, have you seen my black Louboutin heels? I haven't been able to find them anywhere." He looked up from his plate, concerned. "The ones with the red soles?" "No, I haven't." "Are you sure you didn't pack them for your last trip to Chicago?" I shook my head. I specifically remember leaving them here because they didn't match any of my outfits for that conference. "Maybe the cleaning service misplaced them?" he suggested. Maria had been cleaning our house for 3 years, and she was meticulous about putting everything back in its proper place. "Maybe," I agreed, but something felt off. The next day, I decided to do a complete inventory of my closet. It took me hours, going through every shelf, every drawer, every garment bag. When I finished, my stomach was in knots. At least 20 items were missing, designer pieces worth thousands of dollars total. I sat on our bed, list in hand, trying to make sense of it. Who had access to our house? Jake, obviously. Maria, our cleaning lady. And Sarah. She had a key to our place because she often dog sat when we traveled. She'd water our plants, bring in the mail, that sort of thing. But no. Sarah wouldn't steal from me. Would she? I pushed the thought away, but it lingered like a bad taste in my mouth. That weekend, Sarah came over for dinner as usual. I watched her more carefully than I ever had before. She was wearing a vintage Hermes belt that I didn't recognize, not from my collection, but still expensive. Her purse was new too, a Marc Jacobs bag that probably cost $600. "Cute bag," I commented casually. "Is it new?" She smiled brightly. "This? Yeah, I got it last week. Found it at a thrift store, can you believe it? Only paid $50. $50 for a Marc Jacobs bag? Even used, that was impossible." But I nodded and smiled, filing the information away. Over the next few weeks, I set a subtle trap. I placed a distinctive Valentino dress, black with gold stud detailing, virtually impossible to mistake for anything else, prominently in my closet. I took photos of it from every angle and noted the size, color, and style number. I also started keeping a detailed log of when I left town for business. I noticed that items typically disappeared within days of my return from trips, when I'd be jet-lagged and less likely to immediately notice something missing. 2 weeks later, the Valentino dress vanished. That's when I knew for certain. I felt sick, betrayed, but I also felt angry. How could she do this to me? To her own brother? We'd always been generous with Sarah, helping her with rent when she was between jobs, buying her birthday and Christmas gifts, even paying for her to join us on a family vacation to Hawaii. Instead of confronting her immediately, I decided to gather evidence. I changed the password on our alarm system and requested a log of when the code was used. The pattern was clear. Sarah's code was entered every time she house sat, but also on several occasions when we were home and she'd supposedly just been stopping by to borrow something innocent like a book or return a dish. I started taking photos of my closet weekly, documenting every piece. I also began screenshotting Sarah's social media posts. She was careful not to show the stolen items, but I noticed she was posting more lifestyle content, brunches at expensive restaurants, shopping bags from high-end stores, concert tickets. All on a part-time retail salary. The final confirmation came when I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook Marketplace one evening. There it was, my stolen Burberry trench coat, listed for sale by someone in our area. The seller's profile was obviously fake, no photo, only personal information was a first name, Sandra. But the location was within 10 miles of Sarah's apartment. I felt my hands shaking as I took screenshots. The next day, I drove past Sarah's building and saw the coat hanging through her bedroom window. My coat. The one that had been hanging in my closet 6 weeks ago. I could have confronted her then, but something held me back. Maybe I needed more proof. Maybe I was hoping I was wrong. Or maybe I was just buying time to figure out how to tell Jake that his sister was a thief. The breaking point came in November. I was preparing for our annual Thanksgiving at my parents' house when I realized my favorite cashmere cardigan, a Loro Piana piece that cost nearly $2,000, was missing. It was the cardigan I'd planned to wear to dinner, gifted to me by my grandmother, with sentimental value beyond its price tag. That night, I finally told Jake everything. The missing items, the logs, the marketplace listing, all of it. I showed him my documentation, my photos, my theories. He sat silently for a long time, his face cycling through disbelief, anger, and devastation. I need to talk to her, he finally said. Together, I insisted. We confront her together. But we never got the chance for a private confrontation. Thanksgiving arrived, and both our families would be there, including Sarah and Marcus. I'd spent the week since telling Jake going back and forth about whether to report her to the police. Part of me wanted to handle it within the family. Part of me wanted justice. The day was tense. I kept watching Sarah, who seemed unusually quiet. She was wearing a new outfit, designer jeans I didn't recognize and a cashmere sweater that looked expensive. When complimented on her style, she laughed it off. "Oh, you know me, just lucky at thrift stores." After dinner, as we were cleaning up, Sarah cornered me in the kitchen. "Can I talk to you about something?" she asked. My heart raced. Was she going to confess? Apologize? Return my things? "Sure," I said carefully. She lowered her voice. "I know you've been noticing some of your clothes going missing." I stopped breathing. "And I know you suspect me." I turned to face her fully. "Sarah, if you have something to tell me," she cut me off with a laugh. "What are you gonna do, Kate? Call the police on your sister-in-law? Ruin Thanksgiving? Destroy the family?" Her arrogance stunned me. "You stole from me, Sarah. Designer pieces worth thousands of dollars. Prove it," she challenged. "You think Jake's going to believe you over me? Think everyone else will?" That's when I reached into my purse and pulled out a folded document. "I already did prove it," I said quietly. "This is a police report I filed yesterday. I have photos of stolen items, marketplace listings, security logs, and security camera footage from the second-hand shop where you tried to sell my Hermes scarf last month." Her face went white. "The police have already matched your ID to several transactions," I continued. "They're building a case for grand larceny. I came here tonight to give you a chance to explain, maybe return what you still have. But since you'd rather laugh in my face, you can't be serious," she whispered. "I gave you every opportunity, Sarah. I waited months, hoping you'd stop. Hoping you'd at least show some remorse. But you didn't." The confrontation escalated when Jake walked in. Sarah immediately began crying, claiming I was lying, that I was jealous of her, that I'd always hated her. But when I showed the police report to Jake and the rest of the family who'd gathered at the kitchen door, her story crumbled. Marcus looked devastated. "Sarah? You said all those clothes were from thrift stores and sales. Because you would have dumped me if you knew I was stealing," she spat out, finally admitting the truth. The rest of Thanksgiving was a disaster. My mother-in-law kept insisting there must be some misunderstanding. My father-in-law demanded to see the documentation. My own parents were supportive but shocked. Sarah's parents were in denial, claiming their daughter would never do such a thing. In the end, I decided to press charges. It wasn't an easy decision, but Sarah's complete lack of remorse and her attempt to manipulate the family against me made it clear that handling it privately wasn't an option. The investigation uncovered that Sarah had been stealing and reselling my clothes for over 8 months. She'd made approximately $15,000 from selling my belongings, money she'd been using to fund a lifestyle she couldn't afford and to secretly meet with another man, a coworker named Derek who thought she was wealthy. The affair came to light when police searched her phone records. Marcus ended their relationship immediately. Sarah was charged with multiple counts of theft and fraud. She eventually pled guilty to avoid jail time, receiving probation, mandatory counseling, and in order to pay full restitution. Our family has been fractured beyond repair. Jake's parents barely speak to me, convinced I could have handled it differently. His siblings are split, some understanding why I pressed charges, others thinking I went too far. My own parents support my decision but wish I told them earlier. Jake and I started couples therapy to work through the trauma of discovering his sister had been stealing from us for months. He feels guilty for not seeing the signs, and I feel guilty for doubting my instincts for so long. As for Sarah, I haven't spoken to her since that night. She sent a few texts apologizing and begging me to drop the charges, but they felt hollow. Through family members, I heard she lost her part-time job when her employer learned about the charges. She moved back home with her parents and is working at a different retail store, slowly paying back restitution. The whole experience has changed how I view family relationships and trust. I still love my designer clothes, but now my closet has a security camera, and I change the alarm code regularly. More importantly, I've learned that sometimes protecting yourself means making incredibly difficult choices, even when it tears a family apart. Looking back, there were so many red flags I ignored because I didn't want to believe family could betray me so thoroughly. The expensive dinners, the new clothes, the casual lies, they all added up to a truth I desperately wanted to deny. 6 months later, I've recovered most of my stolen items through court order, though some pieces were sold before they could be traced. I've also gained something unexpected, a clarity about setting boundaries and protecting myself, even from those I love. Was it the right choice? I still grapple with that question. But I know I couldn't continue living with someone who looked me in the eye, accepted our hospitality, and systematically stole from me. Family or not, respect and trust are foundational, and Sarah violated both. The hardest part wasn't the lost clothes or even the money, it was losing the family I thought I had. Every holiday is different now, every gathering fragmented by the absence of Sarah and the awkward dance of those who chose sides. But I've also grown closer to those who understood my position, including Jake's younger brother who admitted he'd suspected something was off but didn't want to believe it. If there's a lesson in all this, it's that sometimes the people closest to you are capable of the deepest betrayals. Trust isn't just about loving someone, it's about respecting them enough to be honest, even when it's hard. And when that trust is broken, protecting yourself isn't cruelty, it's necessary. I still wonder sometimes if I could have handled it differently. But then I remember Sarah's laugh that night in the kitchen, her challenge, her assumption that I would never have the courage to act. And I know that, for better or worse, I did what I had to do. The designer clothes came back. The family harmony never did. But I sleep better at night knowing I stood up for myself, even when it cost me everything. Sometimes, that's all you can do.